All right, well, we'll call the meeting to order at 6:04. Jacqueline, you want to do roll call?
Dawn? Here. Brian?
Here.
Jennifer?
Here.
Tina?
Here.
I got a call from Roger. He'll be out today. Carl will be coming in later. And we have Councilmember Edwards here today. Sarah, the director, and Jill, our coordinator.
Okay, thanks, Jacqueline. Doesn't look like we have any guest business. Is anybody on the phone? Oh, okay.
I just want to introduce myself. I'm Tasha Edwards, new council member. Sorry, I speak loud usually anyways. But I'm really excited to get to know everyone on the board and help be a liaison to make our parks even better for our city citizens and the people who live here. So thank you all for having me tonight. And I might have some questions later. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
You as well.
Okay, action items. So we need to appoint a chair and vice chair. Do we want to table that until Carl gets here?
You
or-
can table.
You guys,
I move that we table the first action item of appoint chair and vice chair until Roger attends
Carl.
and Carl.
So do we want,
At this time, I would like to table it.
so that would mean we have to push it to next park board meeting if we do it until Roger gets here because he's out today.
Oh, that's right.
Let it go that long.
That's why I'm just saying right now, instead of until Roger or Carl gets here, because we can come back and look at it in this meeting.
So maybe we just say we'll table it until later point in the meeting.
Yeah,
Okay,
Carla.
Sure. Sure.
okay. Anyone second the motion?
I second the motion.
All in favor?
I,
All opposed? All right, motion passes. We will table the appointing the chair and vice chair until a later point in the meeting when Carl arrives. All right, so we need to approve the November 10th, 2025 park board minutes.
I move to approve the November 10th, 2025 Park Board minutes.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
I,
Aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. November park board minutes are approved. All right, discussion items, 2026 city council joint meeting discussion. Jill.
Thank you. So each year, the park board meets with the city council to discuss their work program. We will be presenting the work program later in this meeting. However, the clerk's office has tentatively scheduled us to move forward on the 20th with our joint meeting. So wanted to gauge the board's availability to attend the meeting on that date.
And so I was able to send the email out beforehand, and I was able to get 3 yeses that the 20th works and 1 no at this time. And I will follow up with Carl afterwards, or when he comes in to see where he.
Great. Did anyone here have any questions about that or?
I do. Okay, so to make sure we're all on the same page, is this where the park board talks to the board and tells them what has the park board been doing? Or is this the park department giving a chance to highlight what they've been doing to the board?
Yeah, great question. It's the meeting where the park board goes before the city council and they have a discussion about the work program and any other topics that are brought up. But it's for the park board.
So in the past, we have both made not presentations, but and so what would you like this year?
I think it's great if the board wants to put together just like a staff report or something that
Mhm.
we can have. I will introduce,
Mm-hmm.
but really looking forward to having that discussion between the city council and the park board during that meeting.
So to clarify, Tina, I know you've been on the board for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And so have quite a history of how it had been done.
Right.
So moving forward, we're going to follow the same format that we did last year, which is where the Parks Department will open. So what we will do is provide in our staff report to open the meeting,
Mhm.
the 2025 work plan and all of the accomplishments or things that'll be carried over. And then we will introduce the 2026 work plan, which will be voted on and
Mhm.
agreed by this board, of course.
Mhm.
We'll give some highlighting points and then we'll turn it over. So from there, usually the chair has an opportunity if they want to
Mhm.
say something, the vice chair, and then it becomes a dialogue. So
Mhm.
they kind of go around the table and be like, hey, any highlights or things that you want to address?
Mhm.
And then the council will either say, thank you, and will move about their business to keep their meeting somewhat brief,
Mhm.
or it can become quite a big dialogue if the council has specific
Mhm.
questions, or if you
Mhm.
have specific questions of the council as well.
Mhm.
Does that help?
May I ask why we aren't giving that information, that we aren't presenting the work plan, that we aren't presenting the accomplishments? Because that is what we've done in the past. And I just want to understand the change
So in the past, I believe you're talking about prior to 2022.
prior to you.
Yes, so we have a Parks Department now.
Right.
And
Ah.
with that, the
Mm.
board's bylaws over time have changed.
Mm.
Remember, there were times when you guys would actually review and review
Yes.
rent permits.
Yes.
And so really the Parks and Recreation Planning Board has specific items that they do, but it is
Yes.
customary. And it even happens now with the planning department. Their meetings have changed over time.
Mhm. Mhm.
At this time, it's customary for the staff, whenever we have agenda items, to create an actual staff report for that.
Okay.
And then to open that meeting with the overview. But we're
Okay.
happy to coordinate if you want to
Okay.
have a specific speaking piece. As you'll see, I'm often not the one speaking. I let
It's Jill.
my staff run these meetings
Yeah.
and so we
Yeah.
just want to make sure that it's all presented in a very quick and efficient way.
Mhm. Mhm.
Council meetings are capped at 2 hours unless they vote to go longer. So
Mhm.
just trying to
Mhm.
get it all,
Yeah, yeah.
all there and done.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not trying to step on toes. We certainly want to make sure that if anybody specific wants to speak or present certain things, we can coordinate that. Just
Mhm.
typically we haven't had heavy involvement from the board since I've been here to help with staff reports or creating data. And so
Mhm.
we have been taking that lift.
Got it.
And
Okay.
I'm happy to coordinate with you, Tina, if you have some specific stuff you'd like in the staff report.
Well, I
or if
don't-
you'd like to
okay.
also bring it up during your discussion with with the city
Yeah.
council, that's totally fine.
I don't have anything specific. I just don't want, last time we both had the same kinds of things and I was kind of embarrassed by that. And I want to make sure we don't do that again.
Absolutely.
That one of the board or the department is going to give that. And it sounds like the department is going to talk about the accomplishments, and that's fine with me. It's just as long as we know who's going to do it.
Absolutely. And let's touch base on that as well, if you have some, because I'm not,
To put in there, yeah.
and we can get it there's a written portion of the staff report. That the
Yes.
city council gets ahead of, just like your board.
Right, just
So
like
they
we-
can read through those things, but I think that they also enjoy hearing from the park board members as well.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
And so anything that you want to bring up. And so let's maybe connect as I'm putting that staff report together.
Okay.
Does the January 20th date work for the majority.
Mhm.
One of the things that we have done this year is we're not going to hold it on the same night as the planning commission. I think
Mm,
that it's
that
a
was
lot
hard.
for,
Yeah.
yeah. So you're going to be the only board in front of the city council during that meeting.
Okay.
Well, the only board that I know of, which I'm fairly certain. But so yeah, feedback on that date would be helpful for us. We want the
Mhm.
most amount of people to be there. The council does have a lot of agenda items coming up, and their schedule is uh pretty packed. So finding another date is definitely possible if that's what your preference is. But on the 20th, we've held it.
Okay.
Carl, Carl, do you happen to know your schedule for the 20th, if that would work for you for doing the joint meeting?
Will a joint meeting on the 20th work?
Sure. Just say that, yes.
So majority is yes.
And did you record the Carl arriving at the date or the time? Perfect, thanks. Great. Well, if there's no other discussion, or if you don't have any input, if anyone has any questions about that meeting, I'm happy to go over that, or you can connect with me.
Doesn't usually run.
It doesn't, I can't remember it ever going over half an hour.
I have an
Oh,
update.
really?
Yeah, for the
On-
portion of where the park board and the city council, now they go on to have the rest of their meeting afterwards, but for that portion of it, a half an hour, I think is the max.
Yeah, 30 minutes is the max. What they're doing for the 20th date is they have scheduled the Parks Board joint meeting to begin exactly at 6 o'clock. And they have a trainer coming in exactly at 6:30 to transition into the WCIA Council's do's and don'ts for the council training. And so they were going back and forth and decided to have the Parks Board first, so that we have a firm time for us to start and leave. If we get done early, then they will begin their training a little bit early. But they do have a hard stop for us at 6:30 this year.
Perfect. Well, thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, now that Carl's here, do we want to go back to appointing a chair and vice chair?
I move that now that Carl is here, that we untable? Is that on the list? Untable? Action item of appointing a chair and vice chair.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we will appoint the chair and vice chair now. Does anyone have any appointees that they would like to bring up?
Do you want to do it again?
I would be happy to relinquish the leadership position if anyone would like to take it over.
I would be happy to be the vice chair. I don't know that I'm ready for chair yet, but I am happy to be.
I nominate Don for vice chair.
I second that.
All in favor of nominating Don for vice chair?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right, Don will be the 2026 vice chair. Congratulations.
Jennifer, I've done the chair position many, many years. Do you want to do it?
I was going to ask if you wanted to do it again.
I can do it
Thinking of
again, but I
nominating
just
Don
want to
for
make
vice-
sure everybody gets a chance.
Thank you. I think you'd be great as
Okay.
chair this year.
Okay.
So all in favor of nominating Tina for chair?
Aye.
In order to perform a vote, we're going to need a motion, a second, and then a
Oh,
vote.
right.
Oh, right. Motions.
I move to nominate Tina as chair for 2026.
I second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And then I abstain, right?
You can
You can
vote.
vote for yourself.
Oh, I can vote aye.
All opposed? All right, motion passes. Tina is our new chair for 2026. All right,
I move that. Mm.
Yes.
Blanking on your name.
Dawn.
Thank you.
You're
Mhm. I move that we nominate Dawn as and that we select Dawn as the vice president for 2026?
We already approved that.
Well, we did, did we do a
We
motion?
did a motion, yes.
We did do a
We didn't-
motion?
We forgot to do the motion for you.
Oh, I get it. I thought we had to
We
do it for
raised up
both.
And we asked to
Yeah, I thought we
to
did
get a second.
just for, okay, got it.
Okay, so I think that is approved. We've got Tina and Don as the leadership roles for 2026. All right, should I pass this over to Tina or should I just keep going with the rest of the?
That can be a question. We've seen that done both ways. And so that can be done either way. Tina, do you prefer to take over chair of the meeting or would you like to request that Brian finish the meeting out for consistency?
I'd rather have Brian finish it out for consistency.
All right,
Okay.
one last hurrah.
All right. Okay, the Parks and Recreation Open Space Pros Plan, Jill.
Thank you. So before you, you have the first draft of the PROS plan. As you recall, the City Council approved funding for the PROS plan in early 2025, and the city procured a consultant to work on that. We have had a series of open houses and surveys out to the public, and you have been part of giving some feedback on that. And now the first draft is complete and they're sending it over. This is a rough draft, so you'll see there is some formatting and some, just obvious editing that will take place. But we really wanted to gauge your feelings about how the plan looks and how what is included in the plan, if there's anything that we missed in the plan. There are main sections of the plan. I've highlighted that in your staff report. I won't go into any detail or great detail unless it's preferred for the different sections of it. But we do believe that it has gathered a lot of significant, useful data in the plan. And also there's a regional context that has existed in the Parks and Recreation Open Space Plan and the comprehensive plan, but then it's also given a local, regional, state, and the national context in the PROS plan. So that's a change that you'll see in that the document. There's a lot of great demographical information, and that really helps us focus our efforts on, if you're planning for a community with a lot of kids versus if you're planning for a community with a lot of seniors, or maybe both of those. It just helps us be able to serve our community better in that. We also have some updated classifications for our parks. We've always classified the parks as local park or neighborhood parks, mini parks, and community parks. And this plan took an approach of the offerings of the park, kind of determining what the classification of the park is. Also, the size of that park plays into what amenities are offered in each of those locations. So you'll see a change of North Cove being the classification for North Cove changing based on its robust offerings and the amount of people that it serves. So also a conditions assessment. We have not had one of those in our parks plan in the past. We feel like that's really valuable information to help focus those maintenance efforts and capital projects coming. There's also, a lot more events offered and a lot more classes offered now. So we wanted to get some data on that to move in those directions of knowing what we're providing and knowing what our gaps are of what we need to provide. And then also getting our goals and policies updated. And our goals and policies are very important as we move forward because our goals is what we want to see the department look like and the offerings for the community. And then the policies are what we implement to get to those goals. So you'll see kind of an updated refresh of those, as well as a lot more pictures of our current parks and what they look like today, what their amenities are, what their target audience is, and a lot of good information that helps us. So I will open it up to the board. If you have any questions about it, any comments, we would love to hear as specific or as broad as you're able to. I realize the document it's a large document. It's nearly 200 pages. So it's a lot of information. So if you are continuing to review it even after this meeting and have comments, don't hesitate to reach out. And if you'd like
I'm-
any more details on any of those, please let me know.
I'm wondering, Mr. President, how do you want to do this? Like, do you want to go person by person, page by page, not page by page per se, but like, how do you want to proceed?
What, have you guys done this in the past? Is there a particular way that you typically do this for efficiency? Because page by page will take us all night, but.
Yeah, generally we don't do page by page. This also staff has taken a review of this. I've read through the document
20
fully
times.
and made notes. And so I think that either way, if you want to go person by person and talk about it, or if there's a general direction, if there's any preference of the board, I'm fine with that.
May I make a recommendation? We go person by person, and then we can weed out, like, let's say by the time we get to Dawn, you guys might have already gotten everything out and she has nothing to say.
And if I can ask, when you guys are giving information, if you could look at the bottom page and tell me what you're looking at so I can match.
Oh, the page number.
Mhm.
So exactly what is it that you're wanting us to kind of provide feedback on? Like I only got through about 70 pages unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And we realize that it's a big change from the parks chapter in the comprehensive plan. So just your feelings about how you feel the document's coming together. Do you think it's capturing the areas that we need to capture? Do you feel like there's additional work that needs to be done? Do you have any questions about the materials that you're getting, or just general feedback on it?
Yeah.
And just so the other board members know that I called Sarah around 4:30 and asked, how are we going to do this? What are you looking for? Because I did do page by page, because we used to have it, 20 pages?
Mhm.
So it was easy to go page by page and say things, and this is not so easy, but I did go page by page, but I too only got as far as Brian did. And I will be looking at it some more to give more feedback on that.
Absolutely.
But it's an incredible document. Obviously, a lot of work. Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and clarify on that a little bit more. We certainly don't expect everybody to read every
Right.
word of every page. It's a ginormous
Right.
document. Eventually, we hope that you do and
Right.
fully understand the park system around us and the analysis that's been put together by this wonderful team. What we're looking for is, like Jill said, really higher end items. Do you guys see categories that are missed? A whole park that might have been missed, for instance. Does it make sense as far as flow? Do you have a recommendation for changing it? Jill has already fully read every single word. I'm catching up with her, but she's made a number of different comments throughout this to suggest that a photo type changes. For instance, if there's a motorbike on a trail where motors aren't allowed, change that out. If we notice that there are park name misspellings, for instance, Lakeshore Beach, that's actually Swim Beach. So making sure that that's correct in all locations. We are going through with a fine tooth comb to try to make the information as accurate as possible. But if you've seen anything that needs to be updated, if you've seen anything that just doesn't make sense or that isn't being drilled on that you hoped to see, perhaps you've read other pros plans, this is the time to do it. This is the first draft. We do need to take this back to the consultant within the next, do you have a time frame, Jill, for returning it to them?
I'm aiming to get it back to them by next week.
By next week. And so when we do that, we're going to give them all of our feedback. Past that, they have to turn this into a final draft. It will come back to this team. The Parks Board will be approving the final version, and then it will go to City Council for final adoption. If we notice Scribner errors, we can always update those. But if you have in-depth feedback within the next week, this is a great platform so that we can talk about it and have a dialogue. So as much as you have right now would be great.
Yeah. And the misspellings or, you know, things in there, those will be caught in the final editing. So more of the direction of the document, the flow of the document and the information that's contained within the document would be really helpful for us to make sure we're on the right track.
I can start with my overall impression. I thought it was very comprehensive and very well organized, considering that it's almost 200 pages. The contents from intro to community profile, community engagement, each of those sections I thought were great topics, like topic sections, and it made sense as a flow. And then with all of the different appendices, I just thought overall it was very well organized. It is a large document, and because it was well organized, I thought I could skim through it. And now I'm reading through it a little bit more closely and seeing typos like Timber Lane instead of Timberlake. I'm like, I swear it was Timberlake. And then I see it spelled Timberlake in other places. So I was like, okay, my memory's still there. And then I thought just an overall general comment for now. The introduction, I appreciated it, but I also realized that this is going to insert into what used to be the chapter for the comprehensive plan. So I was curious to know how much of the introductory content, such as demographics, might already be covered in other chapters or in the introduction of the comprehensive plan. Repetition for like a quick summary, I think would be great because it is a pretty bulky, comprehensive chapter that a lot of people might be reading on its own and not the whole comprehensive plan. So repetition, I think, is good too, but just to know what might be overlapping with the intro of the whole comprehensive plan. Those are just some of my quick thoughts and general comments for now.
And I do note as well to Jennifer's comment, there will be an executive summary, but that was not going to be put forth until that we knew the flow of the document was correct. Otherwise, we would be reworking that. So there is an executive summary that will be inserted once we have a final draft. I forgot to mention that. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I think an executive summary would be great, but I second everything Jennifer said. I think that it's really good. I really like that you guys are incorporating the community survey and the community input and being able to see all of that in the plan. I think that's really great. On top of what she said. And I think I like that we're looking at the different regions and whether or not we have parks in, walking distance or at least I think what we were calling it the coverage area or
The travel shed.
in terms of everywhere so we can try to better represent some underrepresented areas. I thought that was really good. And I think extremely comprehensive. I think it's going in the right direction. I think I really liked all the demographic information. I thought that was really interesting. I actually used it at happy hour today when somebody was saying like, oh, we don't have enough representation. Like, actually, right here. So I think it's so far great. And I'll continue to read through it and probably send out a email with some additional comments, but I think with an executive summary, that would be great. But really detailed. It looks like it lists all the parks. I like the different information about each different size of park and the different kind of amenities at the different parks. I think it looks great so far. I mean, it was of the 60 some odd pages I read, it was very informative. So,
All right. Appreciate
and I know that Sarah, I think you want to hear a lot more critical type things, but I haven't seen, and I'm sorry, I didn't have.
I have that.
Said the worst thing that we can do is just say, it's great. That's what I just did. So I'm sorry.
No
that-
apologies when you read it and you agree. We do have great consultants.
That is helpful. When we get something in and we look at it and we have our opinions on it, but it's good to get information from the board as well on, does this make sense? So appreciate that.
No, my concern has been, and has been for several years, is, and our city has grown, we're gonna have a new development here with a lot more people. And so we've got to get better income to be able to do projects. Gotta be We're overwhelmed basically now.
So you're talking about like funding sources?
Small parks, bigger park, expand.
Mhm.
When you say income sources, are you talking like getting grants, taxes, things like? that?
Grants, we find too, but taxes are the heaviest. I'm assuming that, so.
There
Are you-
is, go ahead.
Are you thinking, Carl, that, you know how the city council in years past gave us a ton of money and prioritized parks? Are you thinking that you're hoping that that's happens again? Or continues or
Continues.
continues?
Because we're still, I forget how big an area we're able to move into, but there's been a lot of moving and not so many parks,
Mhm.
even smaller ones.
There
But-
is a section that was included on funding sources, what different models look like, and then also an acquisition strategy to your comment about expanding opportunities for a denser population. And I felt like that was put together comprehensively in there. So would love to get your feedback on that as well, on that section. And I can find the section for you if you haven't seen it already. Let me look. But go ahead, I could.
Tying into what Carl just said in terms of like funding and things like that. One thing that I would like to see is like, are there things that we can do to, like, once this plan gets adopted and, you know, we've got the pros plan in place, are there things that we can do to expedite things? Like with additional funding sources or things like that? Is there, I don't know if there's something like that, like, because everyone's going to want to be like, okay, great, we got all these plans and ideas to do these things. How long is it going to take? When is it going to be done? Will I still have kids in the city when it happens? You know, that kind of thing.
Sure, yeah.
I'd like to add to that, that looking back into the history, it was not well defined. A lot of building went on, acquisition and stuff. And I think there's a much better handle now when you go in for a permit or we need. But the way we're going, you know, this talks about it having so much per person in your, don't want to lose track of it.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Brian, if it would be helpful in a future meeting, we can put on a topic of park revenues. And I can educate on across the nation, how are parks departments funded? What is that mix of revenue? And also give you our cost analysis of where we are today. So not only for operational, but for project-based.
Yeah. And I know that the plan has like acquisition tools and methods in there. Like there's a bunch of different opportunities for that. I was just curious, like, how do we, I don't know, in terms of like implementing the stuff that we're trying to get done in the park, like what the timelines would be, things like that. But I think I know personally myself, I'm always like, how can we speed that up? Like, I want to make sure that, you know, I would like to have that while I still have kids, or, you know, some of my neighbors will say the same thing, like, why is it taking so long? I'm like, I don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't know how we can do things faster.
Yeah, as those projects come in, and I know that you all are aware of that, as the projects are in and prioritized, that's where the funding goes ideally first, although we've talked about those situations where a opportunity comes up that's kind of a strike while the iron's hot situation. But generally, how those are prioritized in our capital facilities plan is based on your input, the public input, council input, and how those projects are identified and which one gets done first. And then, of course, our biggest challenge, of course, is always funding. We would love to do all of them at the same time, but as you know, those items. are
Sarah?
changing.
When you give us that financial overview, can you also give some historical data pre park department? So because it was standing up the park department where there was a ton of money pushed in. And I'm just curious if it was like, what would be the percent of the general budget, if that's how it was, or the percent, how does that look today? Is it equal percentage than what we did, or, how do we know that what you get today or what the city parks gets today is still equivalent level of support that we've had in the past?
I'm gonna have very little data on that. Your biggest boom, I'm not sure about all of the booms or years. I'd have to go through and put together a timeline of when parks were acquired or gifted or built.
Well, not that far
I-
back.
Yeah, but I do know that a lot of the money that I have seen since I've been here was the COVID-based money. And that money was a huge influx across the nation that was a one and done.
Yeah.
And that money is gone.
Right, right.
And prior to the Parks Department being built, I have a date on record. I think I'd have to go back to 2018. There was only one park staff allocated.
Right.
And so
correct.
what happened was the support that was received from either the Public Works or the Planning Department, it wasn't budgeted, it wasn't broken down. It just happened. And as the demand grew, as the population grew, as the parks grew, the resources were really shifted from other departments, but none of it was really allocated nor cost accounted and tracked.
Got it.
And so even me going back 2 years from before we were created,
Right.
we didn't have a staff number to pull from. I have one FTE 2 years prior to the creation of the department. And so I can give you a high end overview, but there's not going to be a lot from that.
It makes sense. I
Yeah.
get that. Yeah, because we're completely organized, different resources. We'd be talking apples and oranges and things like that. I was just trying to figure out, if we have new council peoples like we do, how, in their mind, how do they know if they're supporting the parks as much as it's been in the past? Would they want to, that's kind of where I'm trying to get is how do they get information to know that we got a lot for capital improvements and I think some maintenance, but the care and feeding of the parks, not really. Yeah. Okay.
Just to add on to what Tina said, I'd be interested in learning a little bit more about the history of some of the parks that might have been gifted or just somehow got absorbed by the Parks and Recreation Department. And it sounds like you've tried to lay out here in terms of maintenance and other costs. And it sounds like being spread really thin. So I'd be interested in hearing a little bit of that history, not necessarily the budget and all that in the past, but just the properties that are part of Parks and Recreation and why, if spread thin, is there a choice to be able to not maintain any of those? So in terms of budget of maintenance or improvement, if spread thin, is there possibly a choice to reduce some of these properties that are just really small and not benefit even?
Thank you. Carl, for the funding information, it sounds like you've already read it, but it is for everyone. It starts on page 91 of the
Page 81,
91.
9, should have.
And it talks about different funding sources, what is available. And some, of course, we do take park impact fees and we collect REIT. But there's some information there.
On page 91?
91 of the pros plan.
Oh, yeah. This one doesn't have the pros plan numbering.
The page numbers are really small and they're right in the blue. If
The document that we have printed out is the packet. And
Yes.
so,
Page 105, for example, right above the page 16 and 213, over here
on the other side,
even on the other side, there's
on the other side. Okay.
They are in two different,
Different spots on each side of the page.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
it'd be a 91 when it would start, and
yeah,
it is blue with a gray black background, so
yeah.
they don't jump off the page.
Yeah, I was just looking to the right, not the left as well.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
So, and the reason I wanted to find that is, in our table of contents, we don't have a specific chapter that says potential funding and implementation tools.
Mhm.
Why?
It's part of, let me just check and see what it's part of the appendices, I think. Let me just make sure. Oh, it's part of the capital projects and implementation. So it's a subsection of the chapter. But chapter 9. So you're thinking having more information about what is inside the chapters in the summary?
No, I'm thinking that funding ought to be its own information because we're talking about profile engagement inventory. Funding ought to just be something, if I want to look at how funding is done, I can just go straight to it instead of thinking that it's in a capital project component.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Going back to the like acquisition fees, I know there's a lot of stuff about acquiring new parks, and Carl just mentioned that too, but with the current land that's in the city, there seems like there's very little opportunity to get any kind of a significant parcel. Are we also looking at annexing in the urban growth areas for park opportunities?
The city council and has in the past has been in favor of annexing the portions of our urban growth area. Maybe not specifically for parks, but for, a myriad of reasons. However, as those are annexed into the city, and even prior to annexation, the city can consider properties outside of its boundaries for the purpose of parks and recreation, which we did identify two of them, I think, in the acquisition maps, one being Community Park and then one being a gravel pit south of the Community Park property. But in answer to your question, when the next annexation is coming, I'm not sure, but I can definitely check with the planning department and bring back that information to see whether or not there's any willing sellers within those UGAs is something that we explore. We've all at the staff level, we've looked at parcels and properties and sent out letters of interest to folks that if you're interested, please contact us. And that is our last acquisition was done that way for the property that's adjacent to Eagle Ridge. So we are always looking for acquisition opportunities, but you're right. The buildable lands or the developable lands in the city, of course, are being they're few and far between.
So if we did, for example, annex something,
Mhm.
or let's say we planned on annexing something just outside the city limits that maybe had like R15 designation or something, so there's big plots. Could that be zoned as a park when it gets annexed in, or?
So if there is a willing seller that wants to, we would never want to zone something a park or a public property without the consent of it's a government taking
Right,
at that
yeah,
point.
that's
So
terrible, yeah.
but absolutely, when something comes in, if that is the plan and the purchase has taken place, it does change the zoning. So you'll see properties that were zoned as residential in the next comprehensive plan update, they're now public, semi-public because the purchase or the acquisition has gone through on that.
So we wouldn't be able to do something like, hey, this is zoned a park unless I guess it's like, I guess I'm thinking like, don't take it from the person, but it's zoned as a park. So if I get, but then I guess that takes away their property rights and they wouldn't be able to sell it for whatever. There's probably all kinds of legal issues with something like that.
Brian, let me help you out with that. So a couple of things, if we're going to expand our city limits and annex in portions, that's actually controlled by Snohomish County under the state. And so the city council cannot just vote to expand limits. It's a big process and it has a lot to do with growth limits and all the housing that you're hearing about. We have targets in order to expand. And so our city limits are not going to drastically expand over the next 5 years is my understanding. Maybe not even within 10 years, but there are still some small pockets that we can work on. Now, even if it's not part of the city limits, like Jill mentioned, yes, we can own and operate parks outside of our city limits as long as they directly benefit our residents, was the determination from our attorney. Now, with that, if we are seeing properties that we're interested in, so let's say that you come to an aerial map and you see a large parcel that would be a perfect spot for a future park. Jill is amazing and she would love you to go with her if you're ever interested at door knocking and saying, hi, Mr. Haggard, did you know?
Still need to do that with you.
Yeah, did you know that you can leave this in a will or that you can sell it to the city? In fact, you can sell it and continue to live in it, or you can sell it and move on to your retirement. And it can be designated as a park when you sell it to us so that council members can't vote for it to then go commercial or in another way. So they can put land restrictions on it. So there are ways to get ahead of that. After we own land, we absolutely can rezone them public, semi-public, and that's what makes them a park. So absolutely, step one is identifying the property and then trying to get that willing seller. If school district ever isn't using their property, I know that the YMCA, that's how they acquired their property over in Everett. For instance, it's rare for school districts to get rid of them, but we may also stumble across state-owned property or county property that they're not using. So we have a few of those parcels identified, not only the sports complex, Lake Stevens Community Park, but for instance, the Machias Gravel Pit. We have had conversations since I've been hired about the old landfill and can that become a future park? The answer there is it needs more time. The leachate needs to continue to improve. But certainly let us know if you're seeing big parcels and we can start talking to people.
Yeah, I owe Jill meeting with the Jubs out there, but is the whole annexation thing have to do with like the Growth Management Act and how dense the city is before they can expand?
Well, there's two different, in our UGA, that is already been approved by the state for us to annex with, there's different annexation methods, but those properties, we wouldn't have to go to change our boundary at that point because they've already been designated as future parts of Lake Stevens. When you're talking about expanding the UGA into areas into the county, that is a different process. And at this point, right now, that the state has been reticent to allow that, the county as well, until we have a denser population. And then they say, okay, you can move out.
I have not made my way through the whole document. I think I'm only 75 pages in, but I do appreciate the fact that there's pictures. I personally enjoy pictures. And I also like the fact that the parks are designated into what they are, whether it be a mini park, a park. And it also has a table so I can look at that and say, oh, what amenities are here? So do I want to go here or do I want to go there? So I do appreciate that. And then as I was looking through the maps of where the parks are, is there some way to like incorporate it on the paper as if a person was going to log on, how you got this picture so they can look at it on their phone or on their computer so they can know if I go to the parks website and I push these buttons, I get this image and I don't have to search for it. I think that would be very helpful if that's possible.
Yeah, and through I don't know if you've had a chance to hop on the GIS portal,
Yes.
but it is where they got the information is they pulled it up and then they layered it in such a way. But that's a good suggestion.
'cause I
You're
have
talking
one
about
today.
all of the parks in one map that you can access easily. Yeah.
Do they have that already though? I'm not sure. That exists. I remember looking at that on my phone, but I'm just thinking if I'm looking at this paper and I'm not familiar with the website,
Mhm.
how do I get this picture on something mobile if I want to be happy? Say I'm over here today and I want to see what's happening in these
Mhm.
3 areas. I can just look at it on my cell phone and say, oh, look, that's how I get there. And that's where that is. I think that'd be
So
And
either add the website or a QR code on the bottom of it to get
Yeah.
to the mapping.
Yeah, just something
Mhm.
just to make it
Mhm.
a little easier, because I was looking at it on my phone when I went to do my parks visits, and sometimes the cell phone reception wasn't all that grand and I couldn't necessarily find where I was. And it would,
Yeah.
I think it just might be easier just for you, ease of use,
Yeah, absolutely.
would be helpful.
may I piggyback on that?
Mhm.
Um, when I first got here, I did not understand how to get around here because it's not a grid, and that's what I understood better than anything. And so when I looked at these maps, we didn't blow them up to have a closer look at something, and maybe we'd want to take the quadrants and have a closer view enough so I can see street names
Mhm.
so that I can find the park from looking at the map.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yes, and I believe in the GIS, when you zoom in, it'll show you.
It does,
Yeah.
it does. But does the general population know how to do that? Like, do we explain how they can find that? You know, in a map, I can put an address in and I will get, a look of that address,
Mhm.
but that doesn't mean I understand where it is in association with the lake.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can take a look at that. We do from time to time. I'll log on and look at something like as if I've never been to the city before.
Mhm.
Of course, I have. but-
Because since
it's
we've
good we
had
try
so
to.
many people move in, I just remember there was a lot that we didn't have that I would have liked to have had to help me out.
Absolutely.
Would it,
One of the
Look.
things you may be interested in is Parks did just receive late last week, I believe. Yeah, late last week, officially addresses for all of our pocket parks. So the ones that said nearby or across from
Yes.
now all have addresses.
Ye-
That's really going to help us with updating Google Maps, with
Mhm.
pushing the information. Now that we have addresses, we're updating our website with individual pages for all of the small parks that didn't have a web page before. Even if it's just a photo in 3 sentences, it's now there.
Nice,
So-
good
well,
job.
Built out, should I say. So we are making significant progress there. And I do know that we're working on maps for trails right now
Mhm.
and continually reviewing what's available. So great suggestion. And yes, feel free when you're on the website, if you're seeing something that doesn't make sense, if you have to click too many times, if you can't easily link to a map or find out where something is, let us know. Take a screenshot or just tell us how to mimic what you did and we'll follow up on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You can use your phone, take a picture, text it to me, take a screenshot, email it, whatever's easiest for you. If you have an exact way, that way we can look into it a little bit more specifically.
And if you go on our website under Parks and Recreation and select city parks, you can launch into the GIS portal, and then it gives you some information about each one of the parks. And then when you click on the park, the amenities come up, or vice versa. You can click on the park name and then it shows up on the map too.
Right.
So with that,
Which is a fantastic feature of the website.
and I agree. It's been really helpful. And our IT is constantly improving that. If you remember some of the earlier iterations of it were, like, okay, is this better? So, but now I feel like it's come a long way on it, and they're able to provide a lot more in-depth information. And to your point about the road names, yes, because I'm very thankful, but they do a good job at a higher level.
Mhm.
So you don't have to really zoom in to find the name. Sometimes in some of the other applications you have to, but yeah. And so all the parks are categorized and then they show up on the map here. I just pulled it up to see if I could find it easily. And so
Nice.
hopefully, but yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Oh, I think just one last thing, and I appreciate the fact that for the people who have chosen to take the time and take these surveys and give their feedback, that it's now in a place where they can see that it just doesn't go into a black hole somewhere, never to be seen from again. So I appreciate the fact that information is here. And then they can also see, what are my neighbors asking for? What is this part of the community asking for? So it just kind of gives people, I think, a better idea of not only what's important to them, but what's important to others, and maybe why there's item didn't get, picked or is lower at the list, but it gives them, for me personally, a sense of like, oh, okay, there's other things other than the things I want. And maybe these things are, a better idea are more pressing than the things that I think are. So I just appreciate the information is there and available to see what other people are asking for as well.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Don. I think you guys know this was the largest feedback we've ever heard on any of our projects. So
Yeah.
we were very pleased, and they tried some different communication strategies this time that were clearly successful.
Mhm.
So we're really pleased with the information that we got and the demographical information on the areas from that data. So yeah.
What were the most
Those
successful options? Like what? did
Ye-
you-
So mailing.
Really?
Yeah,
Totally.
we were
Wow.
stunned.
Huh.
Yeah,
But they had a code that you could scan to get it right there.
correct.
I thought that was, yeah.
And they rolled it out in phases, so we knew which ones were mailing back or they're scanning it from a mailer versus
Wow.
scanning it from some other digital media. So social media or any of those, most of them were mailed.
Yeah,
in.
some good tracking.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Which was really helpful because we can say it's a statistically
Mhm.
valid survey,
Mhm.
and that's important when you're
Mhm.
presenting
Yeah.
grants and other funding sources that you can say, no, this is actually what our community did answer us.
Right.
So, yeah, we were really pleased with that and pleasantly surprised.
Mhm.
Mailing is it's rather expensive. So, you have to use that prudently. You wouldn't want to mail out every time you want any, input, because I think they mailed out 2,000 of them or somewhere around there. And then it was evenly distributed through the community. And so, yeah, really pleased with that. We tried some new things and it worked. So
Good job.
any other comments?
That was all I had.
It was also neat to see that the responses to those surveys seem to align with the macro trends. So I like that background as well of what's trending nationwide, and that provides more support. So that was really neat to see. In terms of accessibility of information, there was one page where the text was a little bit overlaid on the photo, and I can see how it's a nice stylistic thing, but it made me think about digital accessibility and the requirements under the ADA that's coming up soon. So I assume that will be checked as well, but I thought I would just bring it up just in case.
I appreciate that. Yes, I know the photo that you're referring to.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
And I
was,
did look through it as an ADA perspective as well, and have a few notes on those as well that will be submitted.
There was another page. Now I don't know where it was, but this. Yeah, so it's on page 57 of the pros plan. It's a table 7. So it talks about like amenities of all agencies, similar sized jurisdictions, Lake Stevens with pending parks, and then Lake Stevens including pending parks and schools and HOAs.
Mhm.
I didn't understand some of these numbers. Like when I
57, I think.
when I was reading through it, let's just take the first one, for example, like playgrounds, like
Mhm.
all agencies. What is that? Is that like referring to all cities in Washington or all cities in Homer County?
Oh, I had questions about this table too.
Yeah, that's a great question. So all agencies are going to be all of the regional data that they had. So they put that together and they say in general,
In our
all-
region.
all the agencies, and I will check.
But like in the state, in the
Hold on.
county,
Table 7 is labeled as table 7 in our PA park metric for amenities. Is this not for the entire nation?
That's national.
Yeah, this is a national average is the snapshot, and that is the metrics that we compare to in the industry.
So national average for cities of our size.
Correct. So that's the
Or
note.
is that the similar size jurisdictions? So all agencies meaning all cities, and then similar size meaning near.
Population.
Correct.
Okay, so people that are around 40,000 people. So then playgrounds, it says Lake Stevens basically has double the number of playgrounds than the nation.
Well, that's including all of the schools and the HOAs and the pending parks. So we had a
Okay.
couple pending
Oh,
parks when we
okay.
began.
Well, this makes more, so
But
it
Lake
doesn't quite
Stevens,
make sense because I thought Lake Stevens says 6,026, but then Lake Stevens with pending parks, 5,273, and then Lake.
That's how many people per amenity. So the more amenities, the lower the number goes. So all of the, so
Say
starting.
that again?
So it's per people per amenity. So if you have one playground in your city, you'll have 42,000.
Oh, meaning there's 6,000 people per amenity.
Correct.
Meaning we have a lot less than the average,
Yes, we want our numbers to be
lower.
lower.
Oh,
Correct.
well, then that's not good.
Yes,
And-
you're
I'm like,
saying
wow, we're ahead.
6,000 people have to play on the same playground. And
Yeah,
that,
that's,
of course, wouldn't make sense if
Obviously
you
not.
show up all on Monday at 10 a.m.
And my, when I looked at this table, my thought was we need to do some more explaining. If we're going to use this table, we have to do some more explaining in our words about this table because I too had to really, 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 really study it to figure out what it was telling me.
yeah, it'd be good just to get a little bit of like description of what each one of that, because number of people per amenity. I guess I would have got that if I had studied it a little bit more, but yeah, okay,
Yes.
this is good. So then when you include all of our nearby parks and then the schools, we're down to 1,000 people per amenity. So
Right.
adding that into the backlog, you've got a lot more stuff.
And that was a request feedback from city council when they heard the survey was to include a column that also showed the HOAs in Lake Stevens.
Mhm.
Some communities don't have a lot of HOAs or, only a few schools. And so when you look at the all agencies in similar jurisdictions in size, they are reporting without the schools and without the HOA. So that is our baseline data. You really only want to be looking at similar sized jurisdictions and the one that says Lake Stevens. Those are the two snapshots of apples to apples. Once you add the pending parks, we're saying, hey, we know that we're going to be building these things or acquiring these things. And so it's a way to be like, okay, we're almost there. We're getting better. When you look at the HOA metric, it's for our own knowledge internally, but it's not something that we can compare nationwide as other parks departments are reporting that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would just have some verbiage around that because it was a very confusing table to understand what it was telling me.
I suggest spelling out the acronyms, so that then the word national kind of stands out. And then also the number of people per amenity is the main metric of this table. So I suggest having that in the title as well. So if it's the title is the first thing that people read, it might not require that explanation. Like just once the term number of people per amenity, I think, Brian, you understood it. Like, oh, wait, that means a higher number is actually not as good. So I think a good title and maybe making it black so that anyone who's printing this, the title is visible too, because it's very light gray and doesn't stand out like some of these other subsection titles.
But I think that you should comment on why our numbers are so different. Like for instance, if where was it? Basketballs were at 14,000 and similar jurisdictions are at 8,000. So when I first looked at that, I was like, wow, we've got a lot of basketballs. I had it switched in my mind.
Me too.
And so that's why I'm talking about some verbiage about what's a better number, the lower, the higher.
Thank you.
It's like a golf score, not any other sport. Think golf.
Well, in some of them, and then there's a regional one where they actually compare us to our neighboring jurisdictions as well. So, and it looks very, very
How do we
similar.
do
But,
compared to the neighboring jurisdiction.
I looked at it. I'll have to, I think with
Is it in here?
some
Well,
of them
Camus-
better, some of them worse.
That was another question I had about those regionals. Camus is included and I didn't understand why Camus would be because its population is much smaller than ours. And it's not near us, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, I get regional if we're talking about, but why did we go all the way down there? And so I thought that was something that probably didn't need to be in that chart.
Sometimes it's availability of data. I can take a look at it. I do remember seeing Camus down, so I'll take a look at that one,
Yeah.
Tina. But sometimes it's if there's something germane to it, you know.
Yeah, sure,
Good.
sure,
Yeah,
sure.
So I'll do some digging.
And it might be that like Camas actually has a pretty big population, just not inside the city limits. Like maybe it's not.
It's small. My grandparents lived there. My mom and dad raised there. So I mean, it's grown tremendously, but it's not,
Not like Lake Stevens.
no.
I appreciate your feedback. Is there any other?
Well, so I did two things. One, I put my old park board hat on, thinking that this was the chapter 5 and how we used to give you feedback to page by page. And, you know, it was only 20 pages, no problem. And so I didn't think of it as a consultant, you know, like look at, did we have all the parts? Like, would I like to have the finance taken out and have its own chapter or something like that? I didn't look at it that way. And then the other thing I did was I kind of looked at it like a boss person, where I didn't realize this was the first draft. I thought it was the final draft. So I was very nitpicky.
Mhm.
And so I don't know that I want to spend our time together telling you what I found so that I'm not wasting everybody else's time. And unless you want to hear what I found. And I could just make an appointment with you and tell you, but like some of the things I found just high level, how many parks we are, we own or manage or anything. We have 3 different numbers in there. We have 17, 20, and 22. Now, 17 is not a number that's written. It's just one of the charts you can count. There's only 17 things there. But we also have 20 and then we have 22. So there's some things that are going on in here that, and specifically the demographics had a lot of challenges in my mind. Like one said that we have 75% in the chart, and then right next to it, we said we have 76% in a picture. Just little tiny
Yeah, absolutely.
things. And yeah, so I'm wondering, what does the rest of the board prefer?
I would prefer personally for things that are super minor, kind of grammatical or format type things to maybe send an email or something or have a separate meeting. 'Cause it sounds
Well,
like,
I mean, do you guys want to hear what I found, or can I just pass it along, is what I'm saying? What do you guys want?
And I think Brian was saying is doing it offsite if it has to do with grammatical or changes and so forth and not high level overview.
Right, but
of
do
what
you,
is-
am I oh, you would make it go out to everybody if they wanted to go out, never mind. Okay,
Yeah, you can go ahead and send it to me. Obviously, we would want to talk about anything larger, higher level.
yeah,
Direction of the plan, something, you know, like the.
yeah,
common sense.
yeah, I will go back and look at it that way.
Yeah, if
and
it's just
see-
page 26, move the indentation for
Nope,
scriveners and things like
I
that.
didn't
you can go ahead and
find-
Send those to me.
Yeah, no, it's like appendix A in here comes all the way after B, E, C, D, and then we talk about A. So it's just little tiny stuff like that, is that high level? Is that low level? I don't know. The chapter, one of the chapter pages, you can see the chapter page, you know, chapter 4. So there's just stuff that I think would be easier for me to come and see you than write it in an email and just show you what I've found. And now that now I realize that this is the very first draft and we haven't gone through it with a fine tooth comb, then, you know, that's helpful for me to keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Thank you for the feedback. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. I know that takes time to read it all, but certainly passing those on sooner than later is great. Worst case scenario, we get a final draft and it still has all those errors in it.
Right,
So we'd love
right.
to mark them and thank you
Right.
for your time on that.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so are we ready to move on to the next agenda item? 2026 proposed work program. Jill.
Thank you. So I was just bringing up our 2025 work program, but we'll go over the 2026 proposed work program. I know some of this will look familiar to you. So this will be the proposed work program that we bring before the city council. If there is any information regarding that, and if there's any changes, if there's any additions that the board would like to add, what I did, I felt like based on some of your comments tonight that we should add something about the history, the information that you want brought back so that staff will have that on the work program and we can send that back to you. So that is a suggestion to add to it. Otherwise, what we have now is your increased community awareness and support of it, of the Parks and Recreation in Lake Stevens. So attending those meetings and helping to recruit volunteers. Capital project review and feedback. Some of these capital projects, due to no fault of the park board, have been delayed or they're have been changed. So you'll see some of those coming back as on 2026, even though they were on 2025. But we are moving forward with some of these projects very quickly. So they're listed there for you. Obviously continuing your park visits throughout 2026 to provide some impact to the feedback to the department. Pros plan, we have done part of that today. You are looking for final adoption by your March meeting in that. And then once you approve that, it is then sent to the city council for their adoption. From that adoption, then we send that in for eligibility with some of our granting agencies. And then also a review of the rules of procedure. And Jacqueline printed those for your review and you're able to make notes and bring that back. Anyway, that's on the work program going into 2026. And then I would suggest the addition that I already talked about for the history of that. Does anybody have any questions about the proposed work programs or any additions?
So that's on page 207. Is that the?
Correct.
So the Bayview Trail Phase 1, isn't that done?
So Bayview was an interesting project, but when we rolled out the planning of that, part of it was already in the under review. So then when Phase 1 came in, because we started that joint project with the city of Marysville, and they had Phase 1 starting from 8th Street and going north, but we had already had one going to construction and the other one through planning.
Oh.
So we decided to call those Phase 0 and 0.5. So that's why it's a strange naming convention,
Okay,
but
so this is our third phase of the
that's right.
trail for Lake.
Third phase, Phase 1. So yes, that's correct. And that will be, that effort will take it from 8th Street Southeast to 204. So it'll be a pretty large
Hey,
section.
that'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
And then the next phase is going to be the really tough one where we'll have to figure out a way around that huge ravine, huh? Will that be?
actually, that's Phase
5,
3.
3?
And, but Phase 2,
Would be from 204 to that point.
correct,
roughly.
roughly, yeah. Mhm. Absolutely.
So we're planning on accomplishing Phase 1 in 2026?
The planning.
Planning it.
So that's 100, and I will say that is going to depend, the timeline will be affected by the acquisition.
Oh, we haven't acquired that property?
Correct. So the alignment of it has to be 100% nailed down prior to us going to that acquisition phase of it, where you're then getting appraisals and talking with the homeowners about the exact location of it. Right now, we can make assumptions, but until you have your alignment nailed down, it's subject to change. So that's one of those unique parts of the project that really has a lot of planning prior to executing the acquisition. Now, as far as the planning portion of it, I believe that's scheduled for 18 months. So the planning will take a while.
And so this isn't just under the power lines, it's also going to include some potential acquisitions of like pieces of owner's property or full parcels.
So the properties underneath the power lines are, some of them are owned by public agencies and some of them are privately owned. So that's the acquisition piece of it. For this alignment, it will generally be under the power lines to 204. But we don't own the property underneath, so we'll have to go for easements underneath and purchase those from the underlying property owners, whether they be public or private.
Gotcha.
I have a question about Frontier Heights. So when it says in our capital projects review and feedback, review project milestones, would that include Frontier Heights? Because don't we still have the sensory garden? Don't we still have to redo? No, did I miss something?
So the project is under construction now, and so the plans have been completed. The plans were completed,
So the milestones
that
are
you're
about the
asking-
plans.
Right, the plans are complete, but they were complete a while ago.
Yes,
This project,
yes.
as you know, has had
Yes.
some delays on that.
Yes.
So, good question. The exact plant species for the sensory garden have been not, they have given us their final draft. So that's
Okay.
under review. That obviously will happen in the spring.
Yeah, but that's not considered a milestone. It's just a component.
Right, and it'll be constructed this year. So as far as reviewing the plans, that
Yeah, so it's all about, so could you put the word plans in there?
If I can help also with the sensory garden, as many of you know, Tina was part of the Parks Foundation. And so the Parks Department has been working heavily with the Parks Foundation for the sensory garden project. Essentially, what we had talked to the foundation about is the Parks Department will be able to put in a very baseline sensory garden, meaning some plants and some paths. But we are partnering with them to see if we can lift it up and make it a true sensory garden with lots of colors, lots of different types of plants, changing the type of pathway going through it, infusing some musical instruments within there. And so that would be contingent on the foundation raising the money. And they've proposed to us what else they would like to add to that. And so
Right,
we're working
right,
with them
right.
on that.
Right.
Yeah.
I was just not thinking about when we talked about capital projects and review project milestones, it's really the plans we're talking about,
the planning milestone.
the planning milestones. Maybe we could put that in.
Sure.
Yeah, and then so for Eagle Ridge, is this like the phase 2 portion or phase 3 or what?
Correct.
Portion of Eagle Ridge are we gonna?
Phase 2. Yeah, phase 1 is complete. That's the community gardens and that were completed a couple of years ago. So it would be
Phase
Eagle Ridge.
2 is the
phase 2.
amphitheater and all that other stuff that we're
Correct.
planning. Okay.
Yes.
We'll clarify that and add to it. Thank you both for your comments there.
And then Cedarwood Recreation Project, that's that building that, and we've already determined that we're not gonna build an indoor, or have we determined if we're gonna do an indoor? We're not gonna remodel or do anything with that particular building, right? But
Right.
is there potential to actually build an indoor community center or something like that there? No?
Not on that site.
Not on that site.
But we have had initial public outreach that is where some amenities emerged to the priority. So we are having a designer. It's on my parks update, but we're going to take a design contract to city council tomorrow night for the designer of that to incorporate on the site the amenities that have been prioritized by the community. We will have more public outreach on that project because we did our initial survey and then our initial open house. We got our findings from that. But we need to know, where is everything going to go? How is it going to go into the site? Generally, we know that we can put that there, but we need to know everything before, and ask for the community's input to redefine that and refine it, excuse me. And then also your input as well. So that will be coming this year. I do know that, that's prioritized for the first quarter there. And then North Cove Motorized Boat Launch Dock is also going under design quickly. We ran we decided on our preferred consultant, and we'll be bringing that contract forward shortly to city council. So big projects coming this year.
Yeah. Yeah. Every year.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions, concerns on the 2026 proposed work program?
One thing I do want to make sure is that you guys know this is your plan. So if there is anything that you want to add as a topic, this is your time, or if there's anything that you want to remove. For instance, we still today have not had every single member visit every single park. And this will be going into the 3rd year that we've had this on the work plan. So if it's not important to the board to have everybody visit every park, that might be something to discuss. One of the notes I put down here was just kind of questions like repairs needed, any thoughts about future need? And then a suggestion, if you visit it in 2025, perhaps not everybody needs to revisit in 2026. Maybe it's an every other year thing, but that might be something you're interested in clarifying before you vote this in
Yeah.
also.
What do you guys think? I've visited every park. Some of the smaller parks, I don't know that there would be a need to go visit them again, because it didn't really seem like there was much there. Unless to maybe check for, I mean, I think the city's already looking at, if there's derelict equipment and things like that, right? So, what are your guys' thoughts on that? I think it's-
Well, I visited a bunch and then misplaced my comments. So my plan is to visit again and write down and see, because maybe things have changed since I wrote down my comments. I think, I agree with you. There's a bunch of little ones that once we see it, I don't know that we need to go and see it again.
I
But
definitely think that it's valuable to see every park, because there was.
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I had no idea.
yeah, like this is a little park. This is ours, really?
I could, like Catherine Creek Trail or whatever. Like,
Right,
and
right.
Oh, this is cool.
Yeah, the little one with the path that went to the high school, and yeah, there was a lot of different little surprises.
Yeah. Definitely, if you haven't seen them all, I highly recommend going to every park.
Yeah, I've been trying to hit 3 or 4 before
Mhm.
every meeting. And if for the little parks, if you visited it and it's not worth visiting again the next year, maybe a suggestion is that at every meeting, we spend a little bit of time just chatting about a couple of parks, maybe the recent ones that.
Oh, I'd love
visited,
that.
Just hearing your experiences with it, so that then as a group, we hit all of the parks through the year.
Share what
I think that's
yeah,
good.
I love that idea.
Add that to the work plan, just kind of discuss the parks, discuss a few parks in each plan, maybe.
Share our feedback.
Yeah, share feedback, and maybe we can list out like 3 or 4 parks, or divide up the number of parks per the 6 meetings that we're gonna have and discuss those and.
So maybe we shouldn't say visit all city parks. Maybe we should say visit designated city parks.
And discuss.
And then we can discuss what we think. But I can understand why the department would want us to see all the parks. And so maybe we have to get to a point where everybody has seen them all, and then we go to designated or something like that.
Tina, I just wanted to let you know, all your comments are with me. You passed on your notes so that we could identify and keep track of.
Yeah,
What
there's
was
a whole
found.
nother set that you don't have.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, this one's a selfish one for me, but I mean, last couple weeks ago, Jill and the mayor and a couple of folks from the Arts Parks Foundation went and toured a couple of sites for the kind of determining where we might best be able to put a pump track.
Mhm.
I would like to add maybe trying to designate a site, because there were 2 opportunities, and I don't know if Sarah, if you had some additional information on that or not, about, I think the request for proposal was completed at Cavallero Park, and there was some opportunity from that meeting where we said, hey, we could get a pump track right next to the skate park, but we don't know what's gonna go in there. And then there was an opportunity to say, hey, we could put a pump track underneath, and it's part of the Westlake recreational amenities. I'm sure that would probably be one of the pieces that would be discussed there. So there was those options, but since it is our work plan, I would just like to say, hey, maybe we kind of try to designate a preferred site for a pump track.
I would agree with that. I'd like to, if we can make that happen, it's good to put on a plan.
And just to clarify, Cavallero is encumbered. And so a lot of what people see is open field and think, hey, we can add recreation here. It has to be passive recreation. The skate
Oh.
park is active recreation. A parking lot cannot go on there. A BMX track could not go on any of the encumbered spots. And so the
Oh.
only remaining buildable land at that location is the 8.5 acres that we did identify for the RFP. And so it really is
Oh.
either the RFP prevails and the future is one of the two proposals that came in. Of course, there'll be negotiations. It'll be brought to city council. We still need to do interviews. So we're about 2 months away from really being able to do
Mhm.
much with this. Or both of those get scrapped and the park starts visioning what can happen there recreationally.
Mhm.
But that really is the only site that a community center can go on property that
Hmm.
the city owns. And I
Hmm.
know was the mayor's vision and why we acquired Cavallero. Today, the only possible spot for a pump track that would be feasible for us to start going right now is Westlake. And we do have $100,000 secured right now in grants to do recreation at Westlake. But if we do a pump track, that is going to cost $250,000 or more in order to get one that we think would be a good size. We of course don't want to build a really tiny one since it'll be the only one in the city.
So even the stuff directly adjacent to the skate park that is grass and not tall grass is unavailable?
A portion of the skate park itself is on the encumbered property. We can only have on all of the conservation futures land is the restriction I'm speaking of. We can only have a small percentage of active recreation, and that is how the footprint of the skate park got onto those parcels when you look at an area.
Why it's there and
Yeah.
why it's there. So does that mean that like the dog park part of it was a dog park part of it because it's passive? Is that why that was done? Because this whole area back there has to be passive?
I'm not sure if that's the reason.
Not
why
say
they
all
chose
those,
it,
but I mean,
but yes, yeah. So walking trails, open usable area, that's all
Mhm.
what we consider passive.
mhm,
You can also think of it as inactive.
yeah.
Park is considered passive.
I would have to double check, but
Yeah.
we actually have a total of 7 different parcels on that land.
Oh,
And so we have the aerial map. I can share that with you. I believe it's 7, right, Jill? I'm hoping not
Yeah.
out of turn.
I think it is
So many
7.
numbers. But there's also areas that are critical areas, some identified wetlands in there. And so it's a big mix. And so where you see the dog park, it kind of snuck around into
uh-huh,
those
uh-huh.
areas. So that kind of the whole middle part of Cavallero is not usable as an active park. It
Huh.
would be for like walking trails, for
Huh.
instance.
Yeah, there's the parcels are not perfectly aligned, and some of the parcels were purchased with different funding sources, and each funding source has their own restrictions. So for the conservation futures is the most restrictive,
Oh.
and it kind of snakes through the property like that.
Oh,
So 15% of it can be used for active, and that's the skate.
cool. Well, at least it's 15% more than we had. So, yeah.
So all those little areas off to kind of near the road and stuff that we walked to, had that cool tree and stuff, that's all.
Some of it, not all of it, but some of it is conservation futures.
So when we last time said BMX track, a long, long, long time ago, that was prior to us understanding how all of the,
On that section where the BMX track was proposed, that is not encumbered, but that is the only section.
oh, that's
contiguous that's
why.
Unencumbered. So
Okay.
Yeah.
8 acres that are
So
are in the RFP.
the yellow are the lands that were purchased with REIT and neighborhood improvements. This could be used for development. However, a large portion of this is critical areas of wetlands. So
Mm,
you can't build on it
mhm,
without a lot of money or doing other mitigations.
mhm.
Your blue portion is the one that is restricted with the funds that I'm referring to for your passive
Mhm.
recreation. And so that really only leaves us with red, which is already built out, Because we certainly don't want to remove the current skate park. In fact, we wouldn't be able to do that until 2028 if we wanted to due to funding restrictions. And so it really only leaves this parcel right here as
Wow.
the buildable area that is
Wow.
the in-half acres that we've.
Wow.
These maps are available online. I'm happy to email them out, but just to help you understand.
Where's the roller
restrictions.
skate or the portion?
I'm sorry,
The skate park right over there.
this is the skate park right here.
Okay,
Yeah, so see
Yeah.
how it bleeds over into this blue area?
right.
It crossed over with funding.
So that portion directly adjacent right here is not usable.
So the portion right up in here,
Just within the red.
within the red, if it doesn't cross into the blue, and so you're looking at a really tiny portion right here. And you're also dealing with the Everett water line crossing right in here. That's a whole nother
Wow.
restriction that we have on the land.
Because
So
we had identified like this section right here would be great for a pump track.
yeah, so the problem is you're getting, I think, closer to that water line and some of the other restrictions.
All of the stormwater treatment is also around.
That area.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
And
what-
we have-
between the dog park area and the skate.
Now there's.
And as we add amenities, you also need more parking.
Isn't there a
Yeah.
spot
So
that-
basically the county is saying, yeah, we'll give this to you. Ha, 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 ha.
Well, it was the way they purchased the land. It's how they.
Yeah,
came
I'm
apart.
kidding. I'm kidding that, yeah.
Put extra restrictions on it, but
Yeah.
it really is,
But it is better than having no extra land.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's just a lot less usable space than.
I know. I know.
But I do have that note down. I do have something on the parks update about the pump track. And after I've done this, I'm thinking I should probably put the parks update first on the agendas so that we'll do that. Okay, thank
Is everybody
you.
okay with the work plan? Anything else you guys want to add or bring up on
No.
2026?
I do not.
All right.
No, I like
so
it. Perfect.
Next up is city rules for pickleball court use.
Yes, so as we did with the dog park rules, we are having 4 pickleball courts come online this year. And we don't have rules for the use of the pickleball courts adopted yet. So we thought that this would be a great opportunity to get your input on that, and you can give me some feedback on the rules. What staff has already done is they've compiled all of the local jurisdictions and jurisdictions, across the region of how do you manage these. And then we've also Jacqueline has attended training in it, so she was able to give all of the slide deck of all of the information from avid pickleballers, how they have managed the site. And so there will be more implementation as far as the rules of the game is not the purpose of this. We'll have those ones separately. But there is, we're going to have 4 pickleball courts. The proposed use of those right now is that 2 are going to be reservable and the other 2 are going to remain open to the public. So what that means is, you can show up if there's one of the non-rented courts, available. Great, first come, first serve, just like our picnic shelters. But 2 of them will be reservable so that if there's folks that want to have some consistency in the times that they play, or they have a partner that they want to play with, then those will be reservable.
If no one's on them, are they still open to play?
2 of them are, yeah,
So the reservable ones are only reservable and you can't plan them unless you reserve them?
correct. At this point, that's what we're proposing. But
Oh.
what we're proposing is that we would come out after and to see if there's any adjustments that need to take place. So there's always going to be 2 that are going to be open to the public to use whenever. And then the reservable ones will be reservable.
Well,
You can
it says
reserve it
when
up
not
until-
rented. The last one says when not rented, courts are first come, first serve. So I thought that meant
Only
the
two.
extra 2, the ones that we're going to rent.
let me just re-explain for a second. I think we might have just jumbled the words and I apologize for that. There's a total of 4 courts. Only 2 of those have the option of being able to reserve them. When those 2 are not reserved, anybody can walk on and use them, just like the picnic shelters, which is what I did hear her
Okay.
say, but I think then we got a little jumbled.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear.
The other 2, so 50% will always be first come, first serve, more in your open play. There's a term called open play, We're not using that official term because what that means is when you show up, you have a big line of everybody showing up and you all have to commingle together. And so we're not ready to put those rules into play. We simply want it to be anybody can show up and use the courts. We want to make sure that we don't all of a sudden have all 4 courts completely booked out. And that's why we're only allowing 2 to have reservations.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, we bring in a tournament or a special event, that would be
Yeah.
the abnormal side.
So 30 minutes if there's a line.
Correct.
We were just asking your group to rotate out with other groups if there's people waiting.
Yeah, that's totally fair.
And there's different strategies of how you kind of mark that you want to be the next player. Sometimes there's a racking system. Sometimes it's just putting your paddle next to the court. Those ones I think are going to be more of a user-driven approach to finding out how are they being used? What is the pickleballers in our area? What's the most, familiar? But these are basic rules for how to operate on the court, not the actual game of pickleball. Those will be separate. So broadly, use pickleball courts at your own risk. Tennis shoes and soft-soled shoes only. No food, glass, smoking, vaping, or alcoholic beverages. No open flames or fireworks are prohibited. No pets on the court. No bicycles, scooters, skateboards. Children under 12 must be accompanied by an adult. Do not abuse net or other equipment. And when not rented, courts are first come, first served, limited to 30 minutes while people are waiting. You can go back in the line and play again, but we want to make sure that everybody gets a chance. And then for them to be reserved or anyone to be doing coaching on it, they need to contact the city to come into a concession agreement with that. And have fun.
I have on that bullet point, I'm wondering if we can reword it to say prior approval is required before any individual group or organization offering coaches, put the before.
Prior approval is
Prior approval is required before any individual offering coaching classes or competitions. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
absolutely.
And then the word serves, I have no idea what that means.
I'm sorry.
It says this includes serves that are charged or offered at no, is it
Services.
services? I
Yeah.
just figured that out.
Sometimes the system thinks it's,
Oh, yeah, I know.
apologize for that.
I like the no pets on the court because last time I was playing pickleball in Marysville,
Mhm.
one guy had his dog there and he kept running it in and out.
Mhm.
What about, like, do we want to have anything about like offensive or rude?
Oh, yeah.
Things like that, or is that something that we don't want to add in there because that makes it really uncomfortable for
Yeah, absolutely. So,
refrain from offensive language and things
Sure.
like that?
Sports.
So there's
like
also-
behavior.
Sportsmanship
Yeah.
behavior, there you
No
go.
fighting.
there is also another set of rules that's about the play of the game, what's expected, what are the norms of it. So I think that we can put it on this sign, or we can put it on the sign about what's expected behavior at the
Our-
court and
our-
how you play the game. But either way,
If we do say something about speech, are we,
foul language.
if we say anything about foul language, are we stepping on anybody's First Amendment rights?
I believe that we do have codified language in our code already about language. I will double check it for you. If not, then I'll do some thinking on that, but we can put,
Where it says no bicycles, scooters, skateboards, does it need to be specifically designated like e-scooters and those type of things? Or is that,
Or is that the recreational wheel device?
I wasn't sure what
It
that
was-
was.
There's so many different models of those, and the other recreational wheeled devices kind of incorporated
Okay.
all models and not just because it depends on.
And I like that you put wheeled because there's also those little boards that have wheels on them, that hover boards, yeah, and stuff like that.
Yeah, so with that, like last time I went and played pickleball, I rode my bike with a couple other people and there was like nowhere to put the bike and you don't want it to get stolen. Is there going to be like bike racks and
Oh.
things like that for So you're not putting it on the court or
Yeah.
at least up against the court or whatever?
We do have bike racks sited out there, but I don't know exactly where. So let me do some checking on that.
When you make a reservation, where do you reserve it through?
You make it on our website, where you would reserve picnic shelters and whatnot.
And that is not currently set up. We'll set it up as soon as we have an anticipated opening
Yeah.
date, just so you don't go look for it.
Would pickleball be possible under the power lines at Westlake Park?
Or additional pickleballs? Is that
Yeah,
your
we wanna
question?
add- If we wanted to add more courts, because 4 is, I mean, it'll be overrun. Would that be, is that an acceptable use there under the power lines? I know there's, they don't want you hitting balls and things like that probably up in the air, but
So they're underneath the power lines at this park. And Seattle City Light has given us permission for that. You know, their guidelines and policies are changing as more things are electrified. So at this point, I think they are allowed. But I don't know. I know their preference is for not a lot of gathering underneath it, but they have flexibility within that. So are they allowed? We could, you submit a permit and they tell you whether or not they're allowed or not. At this point,
is that a
it's
different?
fair to say that we probably would.
Is it a different power agency that owns that portion under Westlake versus the portion at Frontier Heights?
There's 3 different power providers on Frontier Heights and there's 2 at Westlake and they are the same 2, but not the third. Yeah.
Are these rules the rules that would go up on some kind of sign that would be posted?
Correct.
Okay.
Can I suggest in addition to reserve, please contact to say something like for questions and to reserve.
Sure.
I've seen the for questions on other signs.
Mhm.
And also curious if there were any issues that might be, if people didn't want to call, but there's the citizen view, is that something that would be good to promote on this sign or just the phone number would be sufficient? Like if there was broken glass or something and people didn't know how to report it or.
I think that's a great question. I appreciate you bringing that up. On the rules sign, we probably wouldn't, just because if Citizen View, the software changes, typically we don't put anything on that. So we have the number, you know, call the Parks Department, or we'll have on our rules sign that, or the basis for the parks, it gives an emergency number to call. But I think that that's helpful to add for the play rules for the pickleball to give some contact information. Thank you.
And Jennifer, I'll make a note about citizen view signs. I know we had some temporary ones when we first started using the system, but we actually haven't made any permanent signs for any of our locations. So I'm making a note so that when we do our next
Good.
sign order, we consider that for all locations.
Okay.
Nice.
It's
Thank
a
you.
great system.
Oh, good. That's good feedback.
I have one last comment. The one where it says, remember to have fun and encourage others. So that is such a Tina Decker kind of comment. I would totally say that, but I'm just wondering if it is something that we want to have on a rule.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it.
I mean, as a rule, remember to have fun. I would keep that on, but I just don't know if it's appropriate there.
Sure.
I don't mind it there.
What we'll do is when we look at the other signs we're going to be ordering is making sure that that specific line is in the appropriate place. Because these ones are posted as you walk in, saying you can't do this on the court.
Yeah.
And that's to prevent damage.
Right,
to
right,
the
right,
Surface.
right.
So then we'll have the pickleball rules. So that might be the better place.
More
to put, like,
pickleball
have fun.
rules,
We'll
yeah.
look at both of those to make
Yeah.
sure we're not crossing the message.
Just, yeah.
Thank you.
How do you guys like the order of it? Are you guys good with?
I would like no pets on court and children underage to be up higher.
Any other comments on the order?
maybe the do not abuse net or other equipment goes with the tennis shoes or soft shoes only because it's more of the physical stuff and the quality of the court to be maintained. The do not abuse net or other equipment to go along with the tennis shoes or soft soled shoes only because it's kind of similar
Mhm.
in
Send it up on the
impact.
list.
Yeah,
Yeah, group them together.
yeah. And that way that also kind of goes with no food, glass, smoking, so just maintaining the environment.
And I'm wondering if we ought to put, when not rented at the end, because it's, more of a, it's a rule. I'm trying to explain. I can't think of how to explain it, but it makes more sense to me to have something about not being rented after we talk about you can't have, coaching and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. Well, thank you.
But great. I love this stuff.
Good.
All right, city rules for synthetic field use.
Yeah, very similar to the pickleball rules. We'll have our first synthetic field. So we have written out the rules here for expectations of the field use. And yeah, looking for any feedback or input you may have on that.
So
Same thing, we pulled all the neighboring regions that manage synthetic fields and took a look at their rules and then decided which ones would apply and then added some as well.
So these look like they're all like no da 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 da.
Mhm.
I'm assuming this is going to be no colon and then all of these things. We don't need to say no this, no this, no this.
Right, the following are prohibited on the synthetic turf as they will damage the turf, the surfacing, and then we list them out.
Okay.
Would we want to take some of the same wording that we have on the pickleball and put into the synthetic field, like beverages other than water, glass bottles or containers? You know, we put over here, no food, glass, smoking, vaping, or alcoholic beverage on court. That makes sense that maybe there's some things that we wrote in the pickleball that we could condense the field,
Sure.
maybe.
Yeah, some of the food isn't as big a deal on the court, on the pickleball courts,
Mhm.
but it is a really big.
So you want to make it, you're trying to,
Yeah, on,
okay.
yeah, because
yeah,
it's
I
like
get it.
carpet, so you can't get the
I get it.
seeds especially.
On the synthetic memo on number 10, it says human, electric, or combustion powered for recreational wheel vehicles.
Mhm.
Would it be helpful to have that also on the pickleball,
Human, electric, or,
Absolutely.
just so it's
yeah.
more consistent?
Yeah, so I just recommend looking at those two lists and seeing if there's anything that you think should be similar or the same.
Sounds great.
I also wonder if the sentence, the way that it starts, the following are prohibited on the synthetic turf, if switching it around, something like to prevent damage on the surfacing, the following are prohibited. And that way it's clear, because when sometimes people don't read or they're lazy readers and they're just looking at the list and it's
Mhm.
like, wait a second, what's this list about? And the word prohibited seems a little bit hidden. So just a suggestion to have it right before the colon.
I like that. I think that would read better.
Great.
And I'm wondering if we need to say, dogs leashed or unleashed. We don't want dogs at all. And I bet some people would be willing to interpret this as just meaning unleashed.
Yeah, everyone will look, but my dog's good. Yeah, but it might.
I have them on a leash.
Great.
I think they look good. Any other additions, comments? All right, should we go to department update report? January 2026.
You got it. Thank you. So some of this we've already gone through, so I'll skip over those ones. Frontier Heights, as you know, is under construction. There is some delays due to weather and other issues on the site, so we will be looking for completion more towards spring on that one. You do have a current opening on your park board. We are there. The clerk's office will be advertising that soon. I know we heard back on the date.
They were going to be posting it today.
Fantastic. So that is out. If you want to pass it along to your friends or anyone interested in that for service on the park board. Staff will be, as I discussed, presenting the contract for Cedarwood tomorrow night to City Council. Staff has also identified Westlake Park for a possible pump track. This is located adjacent to the Bayview Trail and will provide complimentary uses in the location. As Sarah mentioned, we have already secured $100,000 in grant funding for recreation elements at that park. And we have preliminarily spoken about it with Bonneville Power and Seattle City Light, and they are supportive of it.
Oh, that's great.
We also are soliciting, it wasn't actually issued on Friday, I apologize for that. The solicitation for proposals for the recreation space at the concession area at Lundin will be posted soon. If you know of anyone interested in doing anything, you can pass that along to anyone for submittal. And it's a pretty short parks report this time around. But if you have any questions on that, I'm happy to go over it.
I had a question about something that's not listed. I was wondering if there had been any interest in the posting for the farmer's market that I saw
That,
last week.
yeah, the RFP for the farmer's market is open until January 27th. We do know at least one organization at this time that is intending to put in a proposal.
Oh, good.
Dawn is in charge of that one. So if there is more than one solid lead, I just don't have that information at this time.
Sure, thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
May I have a go back to the pros plan?
Before we do, I have
Uh-huh.
one more thing to add for the department report. The Lake Stevens Parks and Recreation Foundation has requested that I announce to the Parks Board that at this time they do have openings on their foundation. For those that don't know, there used to be a large crossover between board members between the foundation and the Parks Board. We have since put in restrictions so that there can be no more than 2 members crossed over. So if any of you do have interest in joining the Parks Foundation, I can certainly make sure you get their contact information and pass it along. How you can think of it is the foundation was created to support all arts, parks, and recreational opportunities within Snohomish County is how their bylaws are written. So that's not restricted just to the city of Lake Stevens limits, although they certainly do focus their time here and efforts in the Lake Stevens or very nearby areas. The foundation is meant to be the fundraising arm to help support Parks and Recreation Department projects, as well as things happening throughout the city and projects that they're creating on their own. So I know they have like an art mural they're working on the other side of town. That'll be on a streetscape. They do grant writing, fundraising, and they put on the music in the parks that occurred out here for the last couple of years. If you're interested in learning more, simply let me know and I'll pass on the information for you.
So don't we already?
I resigned.
Oh, you did?
I did.
But you're still on the board, right?
Oh,
Oh, so we don't have any on there.
Yes, we appreciate Tina and Carl both for the time that they did serve on the foundation. Like anything, we all have limited hours and have to decide where we spend all of our commitments to.
How often?
Yeah, so there's no crossover.
They meet once a month for a board meeting, and the board can be up to, I think, 15 people. It's never been that large, and they call it a board, but it's really, well, so anyway, it's depending on what their activities are. Like, they used to go every other week to the farmer's market and have a booth there. So the music in the park. So there's other time commitments that can happen. You don't have to, but just like any other organization, a nonprofit organization. There's never enough people to do all they want to do. So, but I had a lot of fun on it. And it was just time for me to do something else.
So do people on this board recommend art and things like that throughout the city?
Yes.
Because I have
Yes.
a friend who used to run, I think she might still do it, like the pop-up markets in Everett and stuff. And she did a
Mhm.
bunch of pottery type art and it's got all kinds of really good ideas. So
It's art, like, think of it like art installation
yeah.
is where our brain is right now. Our brain was, but as far as,
Fish.
So
yeah.
if they want to do a project on city property, they have to come and say, hey, city, we want to do XYZ project. Here's what it looks like. And we go, great, how are you funding it? Every once in a while, they have asked for support from the city, and the city has had some money in the arts dedicated fund, which right now there isn't a lot of money sitting there. But for instance, what they were doing at the farmer's market was raising money for the fish. On this side, the fish that they sold on this side is what funded those art tiles on the other side. That was the foundation's project. So whenever they want to propose something in the city, they have to get permission from the property owner. So they could bring things forward.
Mhm.
Yeah, or like we're partnering with them as the department to help bring a more robust
Mhm.
sensory garden there to Frontier.
Yeah.
But yeah, I encourage you to talk about it after the meeting.
Yeah.
If you have interest,
Yeah.
she can tell you more about her experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Board member reports.
Oh, can I go back on the pros plan real quick? Because I think that we all should discuss this is, Lundin is categorized as a neighborhood park, I believe. It's under neighborhood. And, but it has amenities that are, that are, for everyone, like the beach and the
Communities or
the clubhouse, whatever sells the goods. And we talked about how that acreage is not the only metric we'll use to decide how to classify something.
Mhm.
And I feel like Lundin is it's created for the city. That parking lot is full all the time from people all over. And that, I don't think it's just people walking to it within a mile. I think people are coming from all over to play on that playground because it's a great playground.
Yeah.
So
If, maybe I'll check in with our consultant and just make sure that that there's not something that I'm not thinking of or that he is, but it's a great point and I took a note for it here, so
Yeah.
I'll connect with him.
I agree, because people come from out of the city to swim at the beach.
mhm.
And then, what is it? Is it the city information center or something like that?
Uh-huh. Visitor Information Center.
It just seems like it doesn't belong in neighborhood.
It's
More of a community park. Is that
More
what
of a
you're thinking?
community-
Yes, absolutely.
Great. We'll check on that.
And I just wanted to get everybody's.
Very good.
all right, yeah.
And then a little off topic, but Brian, I wanted to say thank you and give you a shout out for Winterfest. You sent 3 amazing children to volunteer and they all did. And I mean, they did an exemplary job and worked with me really well. And I just wanted to say thank you for helping find additional people to support Winterfest.
I was actually just talking about Winterfest with a friend on the way in and they were mentioning the volunteers and I didn't realize they had it in here. I was supposed to volunteer, but I couldn't because I had something to do with work. But no, I was in Arizona. And I wanted to get feedback because he has 2 young kids and he just was saying that, hey, the city needs to do more things like that because we had an absolute blast at Winterfest. And he was wondering, and it made me curious. Like, I know we put on Aquafest. Do we put on Winterfest and Oktoberfest, or is that something that somebody else is putting on?
So Harvest Fest, Winterfest, the egg hunt, and movies in the park, music in the park. but music in the park. The Arts and Parks Foundation has been taking the lead on that in the past. Those are city events. Aquafest actually has their own board, so they put on their own event.
Also, it's
Obviously,
not actually a city sponsored thing. Oh,
we are definitely collaborators in it, and they use the space, but they have their own board, so we don't
Okay.
want to take any of their thunder. So.
so I think I listed all of those as city things. I guess Aquafest is the only one that I thought I didn't know was, but, okay, yeah, that's great, and thank you.
And going Viking too. Well,
Correct.
And while we're on the topic, have you reached out to the high school for, because the high school seniors, in order to graduate, have to have so many hours of community service?
Yes, we put a post out for it. We send it to the main person and then she sends it out on our behalf.
Kids need direct requests, like, hey, you should go to this and get your volunteer hours. That's a
It's true. That is.
Oh, well, I guess I could do that.
It's so true.
We had large success with the high school volunteers
Oh, nice.
2 years ago.
Nice.
However, since then, it's really dropped off and it's been a struggle. So we've been exploring how to connect directly with the kids, as you suggest, to get that turnout. So if you know anybody that needs volunteer hours, please just recommend them to come talk.
Send them your way.
yeah, plus it's like great, like leadership opportunity.
Yeah.
Growth opportunity for kids, being able
Yeah.
to talk to people. It's super good for them. All right, board member reports.
okay. I visited 4 more parks. So Westlake Park and saw the new dog parks. They're amazing. My dogs loved it. It was just great. Not a lot of people there, probably because I went on New Year's Day, but the dogs loved it. It was really great. Also visited Timberlake, Lake Point, and South Lake Stevens Drive steps. And these are the little parks where I'm not sure if I'm in the right place or not. And I've taken photos, I need to double check. And I did write in my review comments that if I'm in the wrong place, I'll go do it again too. But yeah, those are my reports. Oh, and also attended the Jurassic Parliament, that training. That was really, really great too. So, yeah.
All right, I think I kind of talked about mine. We had the meeting with Jill and the mayor and a couple of other folks. I think Brian Remus from the, how was it, the Rotary, thank you. Yeah, the Rotary Club, and we checked out a couple of sites and checked out the area under the power lines for the pump track, a huge space. So we'll do a lot of really cool things. I think that the main thing was it'd be a restriction on, you'd have to leave at a space for them to drive a vehicle into the middle. So maybe some creative design options to go around that or whatnot. But there was also space for, I think they said there was potential to put in like some skill park stuff and things like that, right? We could do stuff like that.
Potentially.
Yeah. I think that was about it for me.
No, I've been pretty busy though.
Working on your house.
We started in June and we're getting close to the rebuild goal. Oh,
Nice.
Nice.
it was built in 1917, 1918, like that. The Rucker houses, there's 4 or 5 of them. But were the original one.
We'll have to give us a tour when you're done.
Yeah, no
Love
charge
to
for
see
the
it.
first. Second floor, I got paid.
And then I was just gonna tell you that I resigned from the Arts and Parks Foundation. And while I have the mic, I want to say thank you to Brian for all of his work for the last couple of years in 2025 for being the president, and you did fantastic. You're awesome and appreciate very much.
Appreciate that.
I have nothing. I'm just excited to be the vice person. I don't really truthfully speaking, I'm very talkative, but I think I've said to my children, don't do anything that's online. It never goes away. And now I think I've just jinxed myself and I'm like, it's never gonna go away. So I'm trying to work my way out of that. So that's it.
All right. Any other upcoming agenda items? Anything that you guys want to add to the next meeting? Any discussion points?
If you think of anything, just email Parks at, and we can get that added. If you can get it about 2 weeks out prior to, that's helpful for us. So that we have time to review it beforehand and make sure we can pull any data if needed.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Second.
All right, the meeting is adjourned at 8:08. Thank you,
Needs to
everybody.
take a vote.
Oh,
You motioned and seconded.
I thought we could just adjourn. Okay, motion, all in favor of,
Aye.
okay, we're adjourned. I thought we didn't have to do a vote to adjourn.
I think that you're able to just adjourn.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.